Hello and welcome to another Roundtable discussion video, this time about the Battlefield 6 beta and our impressions. It's been a couple of weeks since the beta ended and we've actually had some quite nice news from DICE and EA after the fact, in that streamers that play Call of Duty Warzone and wanted Battlefield to play like that got told to go fuck off. Thank you, DICE. Thank you. However, I put out a shorter my own impressions video just while the beta was ongoing, but I wanted to get the rest of the guys around here to discuss it themselves. We all had a good amount of time with it, I'd say. Like a day or so each.
About 10 hours in total, I think.
I think we all liked it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah. It wasn't a high bar to clear from the last one, but still. So, we're going to go around and focus on some topics specifically, and we're going to start on the maps. Now, there were 3 that we played, I think. The one based in Cairo, the one based on the mountaintop that is apparently Urzikstan, I should know this, and the other one in Brooklyn, which was more for the close quarters engagements. All of them had their highs and lows, and I'll start off with my little bit. I honestly think Siege of Cairo is pretty much as good as it needs to be. I love that close quarters feeling, but also enough room to get some big tanks in there. I played Conquest quite a bit at the start, as a game mode that we didn't usually play a lot in Battlefield 3. I played a few times in 4. I have to say, Siege of Cairo on Conquest is a really, really good map. The center objective being across this long main road, it's just a massive meat grinder. Led to some really funny moments and really good battles and firefights. I think the mountaintop one suffered a little bit from Sniper Alley syndrome. I think the amount of scope glint, it got memed to shit during the beta, but it was kind of accurate. Apart from that, I did like the fact it was more open. I liked the fact that it had better sight lines, and I liked the fact that it was the only map that had helicopters and jets on Conquest mode. Now the problem is, I didn't like Brooklyn that much. I thought on Breakthrough, which is like Rush mixed with Conquest, and there's more people involved, had some really good close quarters stuff. Rush mode, it really suffered, because 12 on 12, and I'll get onto that later when we talk about the modes, isn't a good number for Rush. And I think Brooklyn, that interior art gallery thing, just didn't work for what Battlefield is supposed to be. Obviously, I'm still looking forward to seeing the rest. Apparently, DICE has already confirmed that they're going to be much bigger ones at launch, and we're going to get Op Firestorm back from Battlefield 3, which is extra good, because Firestorm is an amazing map. Right now, I think having one that I could say was poor actually has me a bit more confident going forward, because they can take that feedback, because it wasn't just me that said it. they heard the feedback on Brooklyn quite loud and clear, so hopefully they go away and fix it up. But yeah, the two really strong maps already. One of them just let down by a sniper glint issue, which might get patched out, I don't know, hopefully. Next we'll go to Snake.
Well, I think we should start by asking the question that all our viewers really want to know, which is, why do you have a towel radiator in your bedroom?
I can answer this one. Because it's a cheap form of heating my room in an electric-only flat. But continue.
Okay, very good. Now we've crossed that bridge.
Yeah.
Map quality, I would say overall, really impressive. I think what we all want, I would say the baseline, and I think this is going to come up multiple times, the baseline is we wanted something that wasn't as terrible as 2042 and made us feel like we were playing the old Battlefields. And I think it absolutely did. If you dropped any of those maps into Battlefield 2, 3, 4, Battlefield, well, I mean, not Battlefield 1 because obviously it's World War 1, but you know, it had that vibe to it. And I think that's what we're all looking for. Generally agree with all your points. I think I actually don't mind the sniper glint thing. The reason we always played Rush is because we like playing as a small, so tight squad that pushed objectives. Just use small smoke. Snipers aren't playing the objective. So on a Rush kind of map, or even on Conquest really, snipers just aren't bothersome. Anyone who plays a lot of Battlefield knows that the sniping class is the one you fall back to when you're either losing, or you're a bit tired, or you're not really in it. You're not really in it. There's very few occasions.
Like you're a spawn point on lane, essentially.
Yeah, exactly. There's a very few times where sniping per se is useful, but very rarely. And snipers don't bother me at all. Fine, I'll just revive the guy and crack on with some smoke. So it doesn't bother me. I would agree that the Brooklyn map was the weakest. It didn't flow very nicely. The way that they channeled players wasn't very... it wasn't fantastically enjoyable. It was pretty, in terms of the enjoyability of the destruction, was definitely the lowest. And yeah, it definitely needs some work. But I agree with you that, hopefully what they've done is they've given us a spectrum of the different maps they've built, and they'll look at what made the good ones good, what made the bad ones bad, and that will help inform them going forwards. If they just rolled out their 3 best ones, I agree, I would have been bit skeptical, like, why did you pick these 3? And I'm hoping they gave us like top, middle, bottom. So that's my hope. But overall, I am impressed. Yeah.
Excellent. Smee, go to you next.
I only got to play 2 of the maps. I got to play the Mountainside one and the Siege of Cairo, because I didn't get to play the next week where Brooklyn was introduced, I didn't play the close quarters mode where Brooklyn was introduced, so I don't have any thoughts on that. But I think the best thing I could say about these maps without overlapping your points is that both of these maps felt right at home in any other Battlefield, and it just felt like playing Bad Company again. It felt like playing Battlefield 3 again. It was so refreshing to just go in, and it felt like I've already played these maps before, but in the best way possible. It didn't feel like I was majorly lost in a completely new world. It was like, right, okay, here's the map. I plonk myself in there. I run down this road. Right now, I'm at the objective. It didn't feel like I was going to get lost, or I was going to get bogged down in this like useless little bit of alleyway that ultimately meant nothing. It was both of those maps were just really, really good fun, and like Snake said with the snipers, let them go over there, let them go do their thing. If that's what they want to do for the game, fine. But it didn't impact, even though they were on a higher elevation in the mountain, it didn't impact my game with them sniping at me, because you get a bit of the suppression, but ultimately I wasn't bogged down. I wasn't getting my ass handed to me by like a million snipers. They were over there doing their thing, chucked down a couple of smoke, and it didn't feel like I was at a disadvantage at all. Both of those maps seemed fairly well balanced from what I could tell. Good start to the game in general.
Great. And Moose, go to you to close. You've done sorting out your lighting.
The camera's pointing at that lamp. Maps. I quite enjoyed them overall. They did say after the beta, they said they deliberately picked smaller elements in the maps, or smaller maps, to force people together. So fair enough. Brooklyn was kind of a so-so. I think some bits of it really did need some work, like that first objective. I never ever saw that defended. The one where you're by like that downturned bus. It's just impossible. The rest of it, I thought it was all right, but again, it was quite frantic and stuff, and I'd like to see what they do on a bigger scale. Cairo was really good. I liked that one a lot. Again, the atmosphere felt right. It felt at times a bit like the DLC for 3, where it was like post-earthquake.
Oh
All
yeah.
the road was broken up. But overall, it was good. Davenman Peak was, sometimes you had a really good game on it. Other times it was terrible. The sniper glints being toned down post-beta.
Oh, good.
So it's not really quite as bad. Suppression needs to get toned up a lot, because it was totally ineffective, both giving and receiving it. Smoke, you're right, smoke felt really good. It was thick, it was dense, and when you got teams that knew how to use it, it was really effective, and I think that will kind of come as people play the game more. but it also sometimes, if you got pushed back a little bit, it was just impossible. Like, I think there needs to be a bit more cover in there. My one complaint with some of the maps was the destructibility is great if you hit something that is destructible. Now, I get that you can't level the entire map, that's fine, but some of the buildings in Cairo were, you'd fire an RPG at it and that one would blow up, but that one wouldn't, and I couldn't tell which one would blow up and which one wouldn't. So I think maybe it was just me, but more of a colour grading system on the buildings, like if they're white or whiter, they're indestructible, but if they're more yellow, or if they've got, I don't know, like bits of plant work on them, or like different colour bricks in them, then you know that you can take out that wall and stuff. So a bit more of a, so you're not wasting RPGs. I quite liked them overall. I like we're getting Firestorm back, and it'll be interesting to see what they do with them going forward. And I'm hoping that they're really hot on patching bits where people are getting out of bounds. So Cairo, people were, one video dropped, and then next, like, everyone was getting up onto the highway, and of course you can't do shit from up there. So, but overall I liked them. I thought the atmosphere was good, the graphics on them were lovely. They've definitely got some promise, and I think with a bit of playing around with them and learning where to go, they'll be all right.
Okay.
Well, I was going to say that it's interesting that none of you liked the Brooklyn map, which is weird considering that the Brooklyn map features so heavily in all of their adverts, like the whole destructibility, you can destroy the map and whatever, like all of that is in the main adverts, and yet all three of you, and by the sounds of it, the community at large did not like that map, which is so bizarre.
I think it's an extract. I think there's more of the map.
Yeah,
The
problem of what they showed about Brooklyn in the beta is that in that reveal trailer, the whole point of the big moment of Brooklyn is them hitting the helicopter and it crashing into one side of the street. No time did we have a helicopter in the beta. You couldn't even play Conquest, which is like the big, this is all the combined arms, so we get all your vehicles. They focused purely on the close quarters because they probably wanted to say, look guys, we know you like Rush, so we've got Rush on a map that's almost designed for it. And then people were like, don't kind of like how you're doing Rush.
I don't think we can get too harsh on it. At the end of the day, they need to test the weapons and the stuff like that a lot more than they do the vehicles. And the way you do that is by forcing people together to force the fights. Yeah. I think the full map will expand out a little bit. And I think more to come on that map will help. And they only need to add, some more cover, some more vehicles, some more static bits, just to give you that few more lanes. And I think that's easily doable.
It's why I would. Oh, sorry.
I would also add, and I agree with you, so I played about 10 hours, which 18-year-old me would be ashamed of myself for having only played 10 hours.
Fucking rocky numbers.
Listen, pump those numbers up. But actually, if you think about it, each map lasts between 20 and 40 minutes, so let's call it a nice round half an hour. That means I played 20-ish maps, which means that actually I was playing Brooklyn 1 in 3. I would actually say if I look back at the old games, where they've got sort of 15-ish maps, you play each map 1 in 15 times. And actually even a bad map then, you're like, it's only half an hour. And you just play it. And then you're not going to play it again, assuming each map is half an hour, for another 7.5 hours, which is probably, well, I'm over 30 now, so about 7 gaming sessions later. And actually, even a bad map is not that bad when you're not concentrated on it. And I think that's one of the things that made it difficult, because we played it over and over and over and over and over repeatedly, which meant that we highlighted the flaws and missed. But the good bits got diluted because once you've seen them a few times, and the bad bits get accentuated. Actually, I think once it's diluted into more maps, actually, I don't think those flaws will be so bothersome.
I think as well, part of the problem, I think, especially with Brooklyn on that first objective, is the spawns were far too close. Like, if you push far enough past that bus, you could pretty much shoot into the main spawn. And that's not good. Yeah. Like, I think they needed to move everything further away to make the movement to the objective more impactful. Because then once you got a few of the team onto that objective, the attackers, there was no way you were ever going to get in because they were just pouring in. So I think generally they needed to move the spawns back a bit, or move them in such a way that you couldn't get direct fire and stuff into them.
You know what the really funny thing is? And it is just clicked. We've spoken so much about Brooklyn. We completely forgot there was a fourth map, Gibraltar.
Oh, I thought that was Cairo as well.
No. There's one set in Gibraltar, which is like, yeah.
And again, that suffered the same thing. So, like on Rush, that last objective, the MCOMs are quite literally in the
on the
defender's
spawn
zone,
spot, yeah.
which is it's way too close. It's way too hectic.
The thing is, on a purely design and visual though, I actually preferred the Gibraltar map. Like, yeah, I liked the close street with the roads, almost like a ring road around the back. But you're right.
It was very fast and furious on domination and like the hard point and the small things, but the destructibility of the buildings was good. I think part of the issue with Brooklyn is some of the buildings weren't explorable enough. Like you get into the ground floor shops around that first thing, but maybe the first floor as well. But that was kind of it. Whereas like Sen Crossing, go back to 3, you could get all the way to the top level. Now, fair enough, all the rooms weren't open, but you could get to the top level. You could potentially be shooting at 4 floors. And I think that Brooklyn would really benefit from that as well, to slow the pace of the game down and give you more like opportunities to
when I heard that we were going to get a map in New York or that area, I immediately thought of, imagine a Division 1 style, street to street gameplay in a Battlefield engine. That's kind of what I was hoping for, and the trailer kind of alluded to that, and it just didn't get it in the beta. But if it's mainly down to see what the weapon balancing and player interaction is like, I will accept that and hope that we get a bigger version in the full game. But like I said, I think Gibraltar got slept on a little bit because Cairo and Damavan Peak had so much more attention given to them, and Gibraltar was almost like, yeah, you can blow up a lot more, but Charlie's a bit of a clusterfuck on domination and conquest, and on the objective modes, that last one is right next to a spawn point, and it's very difficult to get a clear winner. So yeah, I think Gibraltar needs some work as well, and in the game. But yeah, I agree. I think we'll probably look at Brooklyn a lot better during the full release when we've got more modes attached to it as well, not just the smaller ones. Anything else anybody wants to add, or are we good on that one? Alright, now the next topic are the weapons and the class system. A lot of feedback, aka complaints, from the last few Battlefield games is the class system didn't feel like classic Battlefield. They've brought back classes, they've got rid of the hero shooter nonsense, excellent. They've given us class-specific gear, excellent. But they persisted with an open weapons system, so any class can use any weapon if they so choose. On the caveat that there is a signature weapon for each class, so assault rifles, engineers, SMGs, and so on. Let's talk about what we thought of how it worked in practice, and we'll start this time with Darth.
Okay. I am a basic bitch medic whenever I play Battlefield. I always go to medic because I feel like it's one of the more useful classes, situation depending. But generally in Breakout and Rush, there aren't as many, which is the mode that we play the most, there aren't that many vehicles that causes havoc. And if there is, generally someone else can either jump in as an engineer, or I kind of rely on other people to take them out. So I'm a medic through and through, and I love the fact that not the SMGs. I love the fact that the LMGs are with the signature weapons of the medic class. I started my Battlefield journey with 2142, which is way before Battlefield. It's just after Battlefield 2, before Bad Company. It's a PC exclusive. So that was mine, and I remember having the LMG and the medic class, and I loved that combination. It didn't it felt like an odd choice. And I don't know how militaries of the world deploy their medics. I wouldn't have thought they would carry around a massive heavy LMG with a massive heavy medic bag and plunk down. I was like, hang on, I've just got to take off this massive fucking machine gun. Right, what seems to be the problem? You riddled with bullets. Fuck, I'm going to take care of that. But saying that, I love the combination of the two in Battlefield. I think it works really well. I love whenever I play these kinds of games. I love the LMGs just because they're just so much fun to use. You can just open fire, and if you don't hit anything, great. Who cares? Given that the LMG with the medic, you also get the supply box. You essentially have infinite ammo if you hang around your own supply crate, which is very cool when you're in a defensive place or you need to take an objective. You just plonk down a medic kit, which also gives you ammo, and then you can just keep suppressing the shit out of everyone. Who cares if you get hits or not? Who cares if you get kills? You're getting that suppression, you're actually playing the objective. I didn't play any of the other... I played Engineer a little bit. I always feel like SMGs are a little bit too weak in a lot of these games. I feel like you're shooting peas too often, but that said, I still had fun with Engineer class anyway. I'll probably jump back on that when the four of us go into games that have like much larger maps and stuff like that, because we absolutely destroy when we are together in like a tank or some sort of vehicle. We're really good with that.
I know it was broken.
Long story short, the LMG was fucking class. And what they did to the medic class was really good. You could really feel the difference on it, and it felt like a genuinely worthwhile class to be part of. Yeah,
I've got to say, I know it was broken in its beta, but remember Battlefield 1 on the land crawler, like the four of us, one driving, two on the gun, and another person to jump out. And we were unstoppable during that beta. It's a shame that they patched it properly for full release, and we were crap.
Bastards.
Let's go back to Bad Company 2 or Battlefield 3. We were like, we need to set this MCOM. Cool. Snake's got an Abrams, and I will weld the shit out of his exhaust pipe.
It's just two of us with welding guns in the back.
Survive!
I've not to boast, but I've looked back at the old Bad Company and Battlefield 3 stats, and we were solidly in the top 1% of tank drivers.
I'd go bullshit. You're talking bullshit.
Solidly.
Or
still
gun. I'd be on the machine gun, and you two would be repairing us behind, and we would take out whatever other vehicle was next to us, and then drive down. You'd jump out, take the MCOM, jump back in, and we did good with those tanks.
Making our way downtown with a GAT. Right, as you were talking, Moose, we'll go to you next.
Weapons, okay, so it was quite a restricted weapon pool for the beta, I get that. So in general, they all felt pretty good, they felt quite weighty. There wasn't a huge amount of recoil, I'd like to see them increase that a little bit, and I think they are for the full release.
Okay.
The weapon attachment system, I quite like that. I like the fact that you've got some freedom, and the point system I think is quite cool. I also really like the fact that you couldn't make some abominations. Call of Duty, the weapon system, like the gunsmith, was really good in the first few, and then they've sort of gone a bit more like Fortnite-y, arcade and that type of stuff. Delta Force is another one where you could make some weapons. You're like, holy crap, I want to now be blind. Whereas Battlefield, it was really good. Now, I don't know if there's more to come with it, like more attachments and stuff, but either way, I think they're keeping to it's still supposed to look like a somewhat realistic shooter. I like that. Sniper rifles felt good. I think I sniped for a total of about 5 minutes, but they felt good. They felt weighty and meaty. That was good.
Weighty.
SMGs, again, felt a little bit weak, but you'll probably get used to that.
Yeah.
LMGs, again, felt pretty good. Suppression needs to go up. Like, I shouldn't be able to fire 100 rounds at a sniper, and he one-taps me because he's just got no suppression. Battlefield 3 had maybe a little bit too much suppression, but we'll tone that up. I think they are doing that. Class system, overall good. Like, they've gone back to it. Engineers, always good. Support, which is now medic.
Yeah.
Problem.
Oh.
Having ammo and medicine out of the same crate is not good, because it puts way too much reliance on one person's class to supply everyone.
Okay.
The other thing is, in the beta, I thought there was a lot of supply crates going down, there was a lot of healing going on, and there was a fair amount of reviving. That's all good. However, everyone had the defib as a gadget, and you couldn't switch it out. In the full game, there is other gadgets that are going to come in there. So all of a sudden, you're going to have all these people that were playing medic because they had no other option, and now all of a sudden they're going to have all these other gadgets, and they are going to swap out the defib. Not all of them, but a lot of them are going to swap the defib out and no longer be defibbing people. Now, you can still revive them with the drag system stuff, that's fine, but the defibs are the fast way of doing it, and that's critical in some objectives. That's going to dilute that class significantly, which means the overall level of reviving abilities and stuff is going to nose drop, and that's not good. The assault class is still way too lone wolf, it's way too selfish. Even though they're putting the spawn beacon onto them, that's fine, but the issue is because all the classes can use all the weapons, instead of a recon being a bushwookie up there, you now have an assaulter being a bushwookie up there. And that's it. You need to lose, any class can use any gun, with the exception of a couple of weapons that go across them, like they did in 3 and 4 and Bad Company. But having all weapons to all classes is not good, because the assaulters just do their own thing. The medic or the support class needs to either be ammo or medic. Don't do it as both. And whatever you give or whatever you take off that class needs to go to the assaulter. Because at the moment, my concern is the full game's going to come out, all these new gadgets, all of a sudden you're going to massively drop the number of people that are actually reviving, and that's then going to force people like Smee to feel that they can't play anything else, because otherwise you're going to have it, no one's reviving, people are going to get pissed off in chat, and then what happens in Battlefield when people get pissed off when they're losing? They go and sit on a cliff with a sniper rifle. That's my big concern, is having one class with all that power is way too much power.
Okay.
Looking forward to seeing the other weapons and stuff. Suppressors need a massive buff, because at the moment, because of the spotting mechanic, there's no point in having a suppressor because you're always spotted anyway. But on the plus side, I like the way the skins look for the soldiers, and I think they're bringing up more. I liked that was good. They're getting rid of the annoying green lines around the supply crates. That's good.
Oh.
I liked the little gadgets they had, like with the launcher, and obviously the assault ladders come in, and the sledgehammer, and like the deploy cover. Loved all that. Thought it was really good. So yeah, overall, mostly good, but I have some concerns if they keep it like that for the main game.
Okay. I'll go next. So, a couple of things just to add on to the point you two have already made. I think giving the medic class the LMG works mainly because it worked very well in Bad Company 2, and I think that was the best type of medic. But I will concede, and I didn't think this until Ollie said it, health or ammo, not both. I think that does make sense in some way. It would also give the assault a bit more utility rather than just, you go over there and kill everything.
Yeah. Just to jump in on that as well, the health regen in the beta was way too quick. So
I will give you that.
Really injured with full health in something like 6 seconds. I think someone did the math. And what it meant is that all the engagements were very fast and frantic, and if you got injured, you just sat in a corner for 6 seconds, or got some medic to heal you, and you were back up. The health regen needs to be a lot slower to make the gunfights more impactful. And if you get shot to hell and you're like on 2 health, and you haven't got a medic close by, you've really got to think, well, I can't poke my head out for another minute. I think that needs work, and hopefully they are going to tweak that.
For the beta, I spent a lot of time with the assault class, and while I had my moments of going full Rambo, I probably played it a lot more team-based than most people. I like to stay with my squad, or the bulk of my team, and literally act as kind of like the person to throw rounds downfield and give everybody else a chance to spread out and do their thing. Like, if I can take the heat off people, engineers can fire RPGs into cover, supports can make sure everybody's topped up with health, and recons can do what they're supposed to fucking do and put down better spawn points and give us intel. I was half and half on the open weapon system, and I have 2 games in mind where I stuck with the signature weapon system, and I went a bit rogue. The one where I really did see the positive with the signature weapon was playing an assault in Gibraltar. The assault rifle, because the classes have their own jobs, which they had in Battlefield 4. I don't think they had them in 3. I played a lot of Battlefield 4, where like the longer you were alive and the more squad points you did, you got extra perks to it. So, for example, the recon in the beta, like if you were alive for a certain amount of time, headshots with sniper rifles became automatically fatal, no picking up, so you couldn't get revived from it, that kind of thing. The assault job was all about speed, regen, and getting individually a better read of the battlefield. And at one point, I probably took on half of an entire team in Breakout and somehow lived long enough where everybody could catch me back up. So for me, I think the signature weapon works well in situations like that. Where it worked less well was where I decided, fuck sniper rifles, I'm going to give my recon character an M4. And ended up going 21 for 3, mainly thanks to Moose and Smee constantly picking my ass up. But I did a lot of spotting. I got so many intel points by being active and shooting people close up. I agree as well that they should have a system like 4 where they can't use every weapon type, but there are certain weapon types that can spread amongst the classes, like carbines, for example. That M417, when we finally reached the rank for it, fucking hell, it was good.
I liked in 3 that even Bad Company, they had the G3, they had the M870, they had the Tommy gun.
Yeah.
Or something that were across all of them.
Yeah.
3 had the G3, and I know that because I mained that and I got damn good with it. And there's a few others. Like, I like that because an aggressive recon would be really useful.
But I agree, don't give them assault rifles or LMGs. I agree, I'm with you on that.
Yeah, it dilutes the class. And I think the signature weapon idea is really good, but I never found it to be...
And that's fair, because there might have been sections where you didn't live long enough for it to actually kick in. Yeah. And I felt that you only really saw the benefits of it if you got lucky and you managed to live long enough for it to really show itself. Like, I think in the situation I was talking about, that one life, I was probably up and running for about 11 minutes without dying, which I find very rare in Battlefield. Yeah, in Battlefield, that's very long. If it was Call of Duty, I'd be getting... For the most part, I think the fact that they're keeping some rigidity is a great thing, because you need to keep those classes as individual and as special as you can. So I agree there needs to be some tweaks. I thought the fact that they're still pushing this open weapon system is a little bit like, we heard what you have to say, shut up, we're going to do it anyway. And that's worrying.
Anyway, they'll put closed onto another playlist.
Yeah, or hardcore service or portal or something like that.
It's to appease the wider audience, unfortunately.
Yeah. But yeah, I liked what I played. I have some concerns, but I know there's going to be ways around it. Short version. And Snake, we'll finish off with you.
Yeah, I'll try and keep it short and sweet. I liked support because I felt like a one-man army, and it was the class I like to play. Thoroughly agree, it was wildly overpowered. Unless you were facing a tank, there was fundamentally no reason to play any other class, which is too powerful. I think, personally, I would rename support medic, because that's clearly what they're aiming at, and move ammo crates to assaulters, which keeps them pushing forwards, gives them the strength just to keep going. I used to play quite a bit of assault actually, because I was a bit of a surgeon with the 320. So that'll lead me on to my second thing about weapons. Splash damage was utterly pathetic. Like, unbelievably pathetic. Unless you were confident you were going to pretty much headshot someone, there was basically no point in using explosives. I thought grenades were pretty much rubbish. I don't remember dying to a grenade once. I'm sure I did, but I don't remember it. RPGs, if they hit you, beautiful. And RPG sniping, It's far too accurate, but I love it, and I don't want them to change that. 320, I thought was
Flash damage from the RPGs was nowhere near enough.
no.
Yeah.
You could no, absolute garbage. I will admit that I probably in the old games played 95% hardcore, 5% easy mode. I know you're probably not supposed to call it easy mode, but it's easy mode, isn't it?
Classic
And
mode.
therefore, yeah, sure. And therefore, totally agree. Health regen far too quick. I would agree that it should be to get from like 1 health to 100, maybe 60 seconds, something like that. Or I've played a few games where if you fall below X amount of health, your regen stops. So if you fall below 25%, you don't regenerate anymore. I also think that works as quite a nice one, because if you're running across a street and you just take a stray, SMG shot, yeah, fine. But actually, if someone puts a decent burst into you, I found exactly the same. You'd shoot at each other, both be injured, both go hide behind a wall for 10 seconds, come back out and repeat the experience. And that was just all a bit tedious, and I don't think that adds to the game. If you're interested, Article 2 of the Geneva Convention says medics may not carry crew-served weapons, of which LMGs are one. They can carry pistols, rifles and submachine guns. So the game's breaking the Geneva Convention, and I hope you're very ashamed of yourself.
Geneva suggestion.
But they're clearly medics. So I would rename them medics. That's on the assumption there was a rumour they were going to bring mortars in.
Yeah, that's happening.
I think. Oh, good. Brilliant. Mortars were so good, situationally good, which is what made them so good in previous battlefields. And at the moment, they would naturally sit with the support class, and I don't think I would give them to assault. I actually think I would possibly give them to snipers. As a recon class, you set up like what you used to have soft lamps and stuff, didn't you? Set that up on a hill, get some good spotting down, pop a few mortars. Brilliant. I think mortars are a great idea. I think they add a huge dynamic to the game, and I fully support them. And anyone who doesn't like mortars, that says more about you as a player than it does about the mortars themselves. So that's fine. I agree the spotting is too aggressive. I think you should be able to 3D spot people if you put your crosshairs over them and press a button. But at the moment, basically, I didn't really have any difficulty at any point finding enemies because they were all spotted basically all the time. And that's far too aggressive, even on classic mode. I know some people need that crutch, but it's far too aggressive. And hopefully they'll bring in a hardcore mode that will remove all of that. But I know in previous battlefields they've chosen not to introduce a hardcore mode to keep the player base together, and I understand that thinking. And if they're going to do that, I think they need to make everything about 20% more difficult. In terms of the weapons, Assaulter, the rifle fucking kicked ass. Like, it did exactly what Assaulters should be able to do. I knew that with an LMG, if I went up against Assaulter, I was going to lose. And that's great. That's the way it should be. I think that the SMGs, I didn't play with them very much, but they were okay. Use them the way they're supposed to be used. They're room clearance weapons. They're not for firing down streets. That is what an SMG does. And they were quite good at that. LMGs, I thought fucking wicked. Kicked ass. If you put the right attachments on it, they were like little lasers. And they really allow you to reach out and touch people in the worst possible way. And I liked that. Sniper, I don't play snipers. Didn't play sniper. Previously, every time I played as recon, I played aggressive recon, putting down spawn beacons with either a shotgun or an SMG. Personally, I actually have no problem with the open weapon system as long as those perks that are applied to each class are powerful enough that you feel disadvantaged by using the wrong weapon. So the only one I know about is that if you use the sniper rifle and you weren't a sniper, you couldn't hold your breath.
Yeah.
And I thought that seemed quite reasonable to me. But because I'm, I would say, a reasonably fixed class player, like really very much engineer or support, or what used to be medic, perhaps it just made less of a difference to me than it did to people who maybe swap and change a little bit more often. Those are my thoughts.
Okay. I was quite surprised. You mentioned grenade launchers, Snake. You couldn't have them underslung. That was a very weird admission.
I haven't changed that.
It's coming in the full release.
That's good.
Okay, because
underslung should give you some advantages because it does give you advantages.
Basically.
That's why they exist. Yeah, exactly. And there should be disadvantages as well, and that's absolutely fine. But underslung grenade launchers are a very, very common part of modern warfare and should absolutely exist. And similarly, like, are they noob tubes? Maybe, yes, but actually if you're being repeatedly killed by 320s, that's because you're placing your character in the wrong location. And that is a reflection on your ability, not on the game, as long as they make them reasonable. So in Battlefield 3 is the one I remember. If you were within about 2 meters of the impact, you were dead. There was no surviving that. 5 meters away, it was going to hurt, but you'd probably survive. If you're getting repeatedly hit within 2 meters by enemy grenades, that's a you problem, not a game problem. And I think RPGs are similar. If an RPG hits you within 2 meters, you should be absolutely dead. 5 meters, seriously injured. And I felt with this, if you missed them by a pixel, there was almost no chance you were going to kill them.
Nick, I'd just like to say just one little thing, and I agree with you. You know, if you keep getting killed by the same thing, it's probably your fault. However, I just want to make a point that you used to kill a lot of people with your 320 who were on the objective. Now, in Battlefield, there's a big thing where we say, play the objective. So I agree that they kept putting themselves in a place where you were going to shoot them. It just happened to be that place was B.
Yeah, play the objective goes both ways. I play the objective and I want them to play the objective so I can kill them. So everyone play the objective.
I mean, I don't know what it was about the 320s. I used the explosive one more for getting rid of cover than I did for actually trying to kill people. And the thermobaric one, when I read the description, like the idea of it like being like almost an incendiary device that was meant to like burn people out of places, I thought, oh, this is actually going to be quite useful. I might be able to get a bunch of people hidden in. It didn't. And the fact that it barely hurt anybody, the suppression didn't work properly either. It was basically a minor inconvenience. It was essentially a flashbang with more fire. It didn't actually hurt people.
Yeah, I would code the thermobarics slightly differently to the way they did it. The way thermobarics actually work is they're actually quite good at destroying buildings, but I would code it almost more like a shrapnel grenade, as in like if there's enemies behind cover and you can get the thermobaric like say through a window, you might not destroy much cover unlike the high explosive, but you're going to fuck up anyone in that room. And you know, big area of effect. That's how I would code it personally, to make it distinct from the high explosive. Whether that is what they'll do, because I agree, I thought all the 320s were significantly underpowered, and the thermobaric was so underpowered I didn't really see any utility in using it.
I think there's a clip where I hit someone dead on, kill them, but his mate, who's right next to him, walks away, turns around and domes me. That's annoying. But I did find like I would have played support more, but I felt that the starting LMG wasn't that great. And I think Andy found it a lot better than I did.
I really liked it.
And it might...
I enjoyed it.
Like, did you think it was... what's the best word? Did you feel like it was more about stopping people from getting near you, or could you get, like, some properly good kills from it? Because all I could really do was throw everything at them.
Both. I felt like the LMG primarily was good at keeping people away. It was that deterrent more than it was an actual killer. Which, when you're playing an objective-based game like that, and especially when you like, the objective is in essentially a fucking ditch, and you've got to sit in that ditch. You don't know where they're coming from because there's smoke everywhere. Yeah. I'm just unleashing hell with the LMG in the hopes that somebody goes, and it's that initial deterrent that stops people from just running in and jumping in. As a killing machine, it would do it, but you had to get a lot more hits in than they would, especially if they were assault. And like Rowan said earlier, if they've got an assault rifle and you've got an LMG, if you don't get those first couple of shots off, you're dead. Simple as that. And that's like he said, that's the way it should be.
If you want a fun real-life fact about LMGs, both the Americans and the British removed them from their standard infantry lineup of weapons because experience from like Iraq and Afghanistan showed exactly that. Really good at just like throwing lead, but fucking impossible to hit anyone with them, and actually the number of deaths they caused was so minuscule for the amount of rounds that were fired, that they were like, we're chucking like, they already say 50,000 rounds to kill an enemy in asymmetric warfare, and that's probably true. You fire 50,000 rounds from an LMG and you still don't fucking kill the enemy. So I agree.
You're saying,
area denial weapons.
So what you're saying is there is actually an authentic built-in mechanic why my kill count was so low when I was playing a sport.
Yeah, basically, Battlefield 6 has perfectly recreated the real Battlefield environment.
I will take that to the bank.
Absolutely kill everyone.
And breaking the Geneva Convention.
And breaking the Geneva Convention. Yeah, the Russians are fucking good at that.
No, he's right though. What you do is sit back in your spawn and call in an airstrike and get the F-22s to drop a JDAM on it.
Easy.
The next topic will be about the various game modes that were in the beta. Now, Battlefield has a long tradition of some classics like Conquest and Rush. They've introduced brand newer ones, which are kind of a mix, like Breakthrough. They've even dabbled in Squad Deathmatch, which gives a shit, really. But yeah, I think we played a good mix. I think we mainly focused on Breakthrough and Rush. I know me and Andy played a couple games of Conquest on Cairo. So yeah, what did we think? And we'll start this time with Snake.
Me?
Yes, you.
What did I think? I thought overall, so we have always primarily been objective-based players, with sort of probably Rush at the top of our pile that we enjoy. A lot of that is because a four-man squad can really affect how a Rush game goes, and because we play as a four-man squad, it felt like you had agency over the map. Played a bit of Conquest, mostly because we were quite good in vehicles. I was not blowing our own trumpet, we just were. And I just no interest in team deathmatch whatsoever. Just couldn't care less. Fine, put TDM in if you really want. It's kind of a good place to sort of just play around with the weapons and stuff, isn't it? But it's fundamentally a training mode, so far as I'm concerned, and it has no place in real Battlefield games. Not as a serious game mode. I thought the Rush felt good. Felt pretty much exactly what I wanted to feel like. I seem to remember, and tell me if I'm imagining this, but if you had two people on an MCOM, you could speed up arming and disarming. Maybe I imagined that.
I didn't notice that, but to be fair, it could be. I'll have to check that one.
And you can do like a like ocean.
Just me typing into Google.
Push me to one side and put your fact check there. But if that is real, and I didn't imagine that, I thought that was cool. I felt like the position of most of the MCOMs and most of the objectives was pretty good. On Conquest, the way it should fundamentally work is you should basically always be able to hold your home objective unless the enemy team is absolutely steamrolling you. Then there should be one objective that's like a little bit difficult to control, so that's now 4, and then sort of a central-ish objective. Doesn't have to be in a line, but a central-ish objective where the main battle occurs, and the winning team is the one that can sneak around the back and keep capturing that enemy's second objective. So you hold 3 of the 5. If one team is repeatedly holding 4 or 5 of the 5, then you haven't balanced the map properly. And I didn't feel that happened all that often, and I think that's generally a good sign, except in the fact that there weren't that many Conquest maps. Similarly with MCOMs, they should all be defendable, but it should, if you balance the map correctly, the defending team should always be pushed back most of the time until they finally whittle down the enemy. So if you start with 1,000 tickets, you shouldn't be hitting 0 tickets on the first attack. Similarly, you shouldn't be on 800 tickets on the last attack. You should be at about 200 every single time if you get that curve right. And it felt like most of the time they had managed that. But again, it's really hard to say how good the game modes are until we've seen the full spectrum of maps. But fundamentally, they brought out the classics. They seemed about right. I think that's about all I've got to say.
Okay. I'll go next. I'll get the good stuff out the way. I played a lot more Conquest on 4 and subsequent games. mainly by myself because I know when we played as a squad, we liked Rush because it was like fast paced, but also a lot of strategy to it. I think Conquest maps we got in Cairo and Liberation Peak, not damn man, I think they were very well laid out. I thought the use of the environment worked very well, especially in Cairo. I like that whole city street thing where you could roll an LAV up the main road and start blasting people. I think Liberation Peak needed a bit of work in terms of on Conquest. I think there needs to be a bit more in the way of undestructible cover, which almost sounds like heresy for Battlefield, but there were some areas where it was completely flat, and in Bad Company 2 that was awesome when you couldn't lie down and you were basically forced to move around and stay active. I think in a game where there's a lot of static positioning followed by moving as a big unit, I think having a completely leveled area is not great, but it was still fun. Breakthrough, I think, was a real star of the beta. I think that mix of that rush, you have to capture this area, with the mix of conquest, but it has to be like you have to have more people in this bit than the other team. I think that really works as a game mode, especially the way they've done it. I thought it really did shine on Brooklyn, because Brooklyn was, I said earlier, one of the weaker maps, but Breakthrough really worked, whereas Rush I didn't think did. Mainly because you had more people in the teams and you got to feel like more of an actual war rather than a small skirmish. My main issue is I think Rush on Battlefield 3 and 4 was great because it wasn't, it was smaller teams, but you still had that vehicle play. There was not one single Rush map where you had vehicles involved in the Battlefield 6 beta. You may think there was, they were Breakthrough maps, not Rush maps. And 12 on 12, I don't think is a good size. I would rather have, say, 24 on 24 for Rush. I think you need that more. I think you need more, just more. I think you need a lot of chaos in it. Because some of the best memories I have of us playing Rush in Battlefield 3 is where we're trying to defuse an MCOM while hiding under the smallest bit of wall that's been left over while someone is lobbing, AA-12s and tank shells above our heads, and we've somehow managed to pull it off at the last minute. I thought Battlefield 6 Rush needs to be just made more epic and chaotic. I think only having 12 really does limit that. That being said, Breakout was really fun. I think that's a really good alternative to Rush if you want that more size. And I do think there's a bit more strategy to getting enough people in the area to cancel out the other team and whilst also keeping them out of it as well. So maybe I found a mode that I like better than Rush in Breakout. Who knows? Then again, they might fix all my concerns about it in the full release. We'll just have to see. Moose, do you want
to add to your destructibility comment there? For those who played Bad Company 2, one of the things they did so well with destructibility there is when you knocked a building down, it became a different form of cover. So, the building's standing. It's a 3-story building with loads of windows, and you're getting like snipes and RPGs flying at you. You go in, big guns, knock the building down, and it becomes a collapsed building that, yes, you can't snipe from the second floor anymore, but you still have cover. And I think that's one of the things this perhaps lacked. You could blow out a lot of the walls, and there's no cover anymore because the wall's gone. But there's just no cover because the wall's gone. It didn't really become anything. I can imagine the coding for like debris and stuff. Well, I mean, Bad Company did it, so it can't be that hard. Although all the destructible buildings were very standalone square brick structures, rather than the sort of more epic flowing maps. But making cover from destructible buildings means the game's much more dynamic, and it means you've got to make a choice. Do you knock down that building and know that now you can hide inside it? Bloody hard to see into those destroyed buildings. It gave you little like sneaky mouse holes. Or do you leave it standing? Or do you just blow out the walls? Sometimes we deliberately on Bad Company would take out all the walls and leave the cross-sectional structure intact, which meant you could carry on firing into it with machine guns and deny it to the enemy. And it was very, very common on Bad Company and a bit of Battlefield 3 to see people start the map throwing C4 at their own buildings to bring them down deliberately to change the cover dynamic. And I thought that was really nice.
Okay. Moose?
Just on the destructibility, we'll keep on that just for a second for game modes. I think you're right. I don't really know if it was possible, but like if you C4'd like a crater in the floor, whether it would actually make a crater, because they did that in 5 or 1, didn't they? Which meant driving a tank ended up kind of going like that.
Yeah.
But it also put the tank down. It meant you had like foxholes that you could hide in. I don't know if that was in 6. I didn't really have enough C4 to ever try it, but I think that can be kind of cool. Levolution, 2042 didn't really do it anywhere near as well, so we'll leave it there. 4, you could drop the whole skyscraper in Siege of Shanghai.
Yeah.
3, you could drop the big tower on Caspian border. Not tower, the like radio mast.
Yeah.
I think it'd be kind of cool if they had a few more things of that, especially in Brooklyn, if you could bring down some more big buildings and it, blocked off the street, but you could still potentially drive vehicles over the top of it or something like that. I think that would kind of be cool. Another thing which I would really like, but I don't know if it's really possible, is on more of these like urban maps, where you've got utilities running under the street, don't you? You've got electricity poles, you've got gas lines. So potentially in some of the bigger buildings, have the gas main in the building. If you blow up that building, it blows up the gas line and it blows up like a string along the floor as the gas main goes off. Like, we're getting to a stage where it will be doable. I mean, you dropped an entire skyscraper in Battlefield 4. That was 2013, I think, 2015. Like, surely it must now be possible to code it. And there is, PCs have the power to run that type of thing. I think that would be really cool. Anyway, game modes. I don't play Conquest all that much. Didn't play it in the beta. We'll skip that one.
Cool.
Breakthrough, really liked it. Quite enjoyed it. Thought it was good. It'll probably be one of the most played game modes. I don't know. I have a feeling they're doing something with Grand Operations, but it's not called Grand Operations. I think they're doing something with it in 6, but it's all been a bit hush-hush, I think. Tried Hardpoint. Very, very fast and frantic. Doesn't really lend itself to Battlefield. I'll leave that one in Call of Duty for me. But if you're trying to warm up before your mates come, sure. Team Deathmatch, again, not really a huge fan. It's more of a warm-up mode. Kind of leave that one. Rush, love Rush, but I agree 12 on 12 didn't quite work too well. There needs to be more people. I get what they were saying in that they were trying to make it smaller and more tactical, and I kind of get that. Otherwise, the similarity between Breakthrough and Rush becomes very, very blurred.
True.
And they do need to give the game modes their own identities. So I can kind of see where they're coming from. But also, Rush, I think, after being one of the highlights of the whole series, has definitely been kicked into submission over the last couple of games. And now I think so many people don't know what Rush is that they can't bring it back because people go, oh, I don't like this, I want to play Breakthrough. So hopefully it needs work. But again, I think Portal will give us that. I think someone will come along and go, no, Rush in Bad Company 2 or Battlefield 3 was my jam. I am remaking it in Portal, and it is going to be as we remember it. And I think we'll spend a lot of time in the Portal series, playing on like the old school maps. Overall,
old
I thought the game
people
was pretty good. I thought they were pretty good. Portal is going to add some insane game modes, just by looking at the trailer. So I think that'll be quite fun, because it'd be cool to do on some of the bigger maps like the Armored Warfare, where it was like loads of tanks on each thing. That was kind of cool. They also had the air supremacy mode. I'm terrible at flying, so I could never play that. But I think things like that would be kind of cool. And there was a bit in one of the Portal trailers, a bunch of soldiers, radio towers, with like unlimited RPGs and loads of jets and helicopters flying around them. I think that now we're starting to gross into like GTA 5, let's fuck around like territory. And I think for some fun, I think that will be amazing. A true realistic military shooter. But I can see us at the end of a night, we'll do one more, but a bit of fun. I can think, if they do Portal right, I think it will really, really lend its hand to something.
I think the problem with Portal and 5 is it turned into more of people making their own XP farms rather than actually using it as intended.
Yeah, the concept was there, but the execution was severely flawed, and they didn't fix the flaws fast enough. And by the time they did fix the flaws, there was no one playing the game anyway for it to make it worth it. So.
All right, and to close on this subject, on to you, Smee.
I basically only played Breakout, which I think With a beta, I know that you're supposed to look at all the game modes, you look at all the different things, you look at all the different classes, different weapons, the new stuff, what's new, what's old. And possibly this is just a testament to the fact that we haven't had a decent Battlefield since Battlefield 5. Sorry, Battlefield 5. Because 42 was supposed to be our jam, and it was like just a moldy shit. So as soon as this Battlefield Beta 6 came out, my intention was to go in and play the different modes, the different classes and whatever, and then I just defaulted to the class that I've always wanted to play, and I defaulted to the map that I always want to play. The game mode. And I didn't get bored. I had the most fun just doing the same game mode, the same class over and over and over again. And I think that's a true testament to how well I think we're going to gel with this game. I think we're going to have a lot of fun with it. So I'm sorry, I don't have anything insightful. I think you guys have said everything that needs to be said anyway. All I'm doing is sucking the game's dick by saying that I had a lot of fun doing the same thing. And I think that's a testament to how good it's going to be.
And to finish off, we're going to go full throw to the floor, as if we haven't already in the last topic anyway. What do we want to see from Battlefield 6 when it's finally released? Now, we're going to limit you to one thing, because this video is probably going to drag on quite a bit if we don't. Okay, so we'll start this time with Moose. One thing.
One thing. Closed weapon classes and split the support medic class.
You can't use the word "and."
That's the thing.
Vaughn, I order you edit it when he says the word "and."
But which thing to include?
Fine. Split the medic support class, and as we have previously mentioned in this video, give ammo to one class and make the other class a dedicated medic.
Now, I'll be fair, those two are basically the same thing. It's more just a case of making it a complete move rather than just 2 bits of it.
Well, I don't think they will. I think it's too late in the cycle. I think they're committed.
They got to commit to the bit. But Snake, do you want to go next?
I'm going to be controversial. I'm going to say the one thing I absolutely don't want. And the one thing I absolutely don't want is for them to slowly let this deteriorate into a hero shooter.
Yeah.
The community has been so utterly clear that that is not what they want here. And what skins, cool. Don't mind skins. Like, as long as they are basically militaristic. You know, if you want to put Arnold Schwarzenegger in his like Predator outfit, I can just about tolerate that. You know, if you want to put Rambo, just about tolerate that. But military skins, no heroes. I don't want to see 250 Dorises or whatever it was in 2142 running around. Just keep it a military shooter.
Yes, Angel does it again. Shut up! About to say, if they even think of turning it into Call of Duty, what that is now, where you probably, Snake and Moose might not know this, you have literal cartoon skins from American Dad and Beavis and Butthead. That is, if that goes anywhere near my Battlefield, someone's getting burnt at a cross.
Have you seen the weapon skin that's got like the roller coaster built into it and the car goes round it, and you're looking at it like...
I remember watching the Black Ops 7 reveal trailer, and it closed with pre-order now to get the Reznov challenge pack, and the cavalcade of crap they plastered on the screen afterwards. It's like, no, you're not doing this to me again.
The top-rated comment on that video at the time of this video being created is, wow, this made me pre-order Battlefield 6.
Yeah. It's me, do you want to go next?
Yeah, this is kind of more of an inquisitive thing, I guess.
Right.
Do any of you remember Commander mode?
Yes,
in any of the
and I
games?
believe it is still in. I believe it is coming in.
Okay, because I'd like to see that.
Yeah.
Maybe not necessarily in the main game, maybe it could just be a Portal thing, or at least an optional thing in Portal. but that's what I want. I want to see Commander brought back in. Have
Yeah,
supply drops. Take all the supplies and gadgets off of people and have it so the Commander assigns supply drops, supplies tanks, supplies airstrikes, all that sort of stuff. I think that would be quite interesting
Which
to
they
see
do in
that.
Hell Let Loose, and it works extremely well. And they did to a certain extent where you could call in like artillery strikes in Battlefield 2.
Yeah.
4, you could
and
launch
you
a
could do it in 4 as well, I
Tomahawk.
don't.
You could launch a Tomahawk in 4.
If you want to know how how Commander Mode can be done really well, Hell Let Loose does it fantastically.
But
where you
would
can
you-
still move around the battlefield, you
Yeah.
can still interact, you still play the game, but every now and then you'll get a message or a comm chat saying like, you know, I desperately need an airstrike at Alpha 4, and they can like ping on the map and you can call in an airstrike. Your points slowly accumulate, so like if you don't use it for a while, then you get a better airstrike, and if you don't use it for a while, you get a better airstrike. It works really, really well.
So
It's a very different game,
Yeah, that's
but
my thinking.
fundamentally has the same thread that Battlefield has.
Like, I think the reason a commander running around the field in Hell Let Loose works is because the maps are so large, they have the freedom, if they're smart, to roam, you know, basically go across their own army's battle line. I think in Battlefield, having one person on their own without squad might be a little bit untenable. I think 4 it almost felt like a gimmick when it was first announced, like you get to play it on your phone or a tablet and you get to control the whole map. But when you actually got into it, it really did work. And it's still, I think it's still running on 4 right now, because I was playing 4 last weekend. And there are still people that play Commander, and it is really funny to watch people just say, take everybody, put them there, and fuck them up. Right, I'll finish up. So, the one thing I want to see in the full release is more a case of the companies behind it. I can't physically stop them putting in a Battle Royale mode. That they've announced that's going to happen. There's a whole team/studio devoted to doing that. Fine. Do not go down the Rainbow Six Siege thing of turning it into esports. Siege was so good in the first 2 years because it was all about tactics, positioning, and communication. And then after year 3, they went all in on esports and finding new operators with stupid gadgets that made no sense. And now Rainbow Six Siege is all about the esports. It's all about the speed. It's all about quickness. It's all about Twitch shooting. Call of Duty is so good in the esports world because Battle Royales, as much as I do hate to admit it, work very well as a spectator sport rather than an actual gameplay thing. Because there are those moments of, wow, this one guy managed to drop in this and survive long enough to get out alive. Yeah, I get it works as a viewer sport. I played Firestorm twice on Battlefield 5 and I hated it because it just didn't work in Battlefield controls and gameplay. If you're going to do it, fine, but keep the primary focus, keep the main A team on the multiplayer. That's what I really want them to do. That's my main thing.
Agreed.
Keep your Battle Royale separate, fine, can't stop it. Focus on the multiplayer as a primary. Followed closely by campaign, because I'm very interested to see what the campaign is like for this game.